huge audience. So ladies and gentlemen, everyone's wanted to know how Meta, is approaching AI. What are Meta's thoughts around AI? So we're going to do this thing here where we're now going to find out two or three things which are very important to everyone here because I've spent some time with all of you. The questions are, well, what should we build in AI? Where is the money? And what new technology should we be betting on? And to answer those questions, I have somebody that I want to introduce on stage who I think you guys will have a blast listening to. So ladies and gentlemen, welcoming the MD of Meta, Arun Srinivas.
Hi, Varun.
Arun, if you start vlogging like this, what job is there for us?
So that I guess millions start doing this, and obviously they follow you.
Interesting. Okay, so I want to start off straight, like I don't want to waste anyone's time. Let's talk about personal super intelligence. I think the Meta story has been different from everybody else's, all the other AI companies' stories, because the Meta story has been about intelligence for you. It hasn't been about intelligence for companies. It hasn't been about intelligence for, this enterprise or this kind of government. It's been about the individual. So I'd love to know, what is the personal super intelligence story? How does it apply to India?
See, I would say it applies to India. Firstly, it applies to the world. So let me start by talking about what we're trying to build. So for example, right now we just launched MuseSpark. It's what we call our first contextual model, and obviously that's just the beginning. I mean, there's going to be a huge frontier, that we have to navigate. So it really actually is from your perspective because it's there, it knows you, it tries to dwell on what you like, what you see, and obviously that gives better context than, let's say, AI in a phone somewhere, which is in your pocket. What we're trying to do is not build possibly the, smartest AI, if I can say, but how can AI help you become smarter? So for example, let's say we are here, there are enough snack bars. So if I actually use these glasses there and really leverage MuseSpark to understand which snack should I have which has the least cholesterol or the highest protein. Ideally, it should tell me so that I actually pick that up. So if that's what let's say if I'm a health freak and that's what I want, I mean that's the answer I'm looking for. So we want AI that's here, always with you, wherever you are, whenever you are. I mean that's really the larger vision, right? And this is, as I said, our first native, multimodal model, which really is there in the moment and is always there with you. And I think the vision there is that obviously right now it's being rolled out, for example, to Meta AI. Meta AI has got strengthened with this, but over time it will get into each of our apps. And today, if you look at it, Instagram and Facebook are actually the largest discovery platforms in the world. 9 out of 10 consumers discover things there. So imagine your personal super intelligent agent sitting there, understanding what you spend time on, what you like, so that obviously over time you get even more customized, hyper-personalized solutions, right? So whether it's the content you see, whether it's the ads you serve. That's why I guess our vision is to really hyper-personalize everyone as one unit and one individual, get the model better and better, so that, as I said, AI makes you smarter and you have the smartest support system that you have around you.
Interesting. I remember doing a pod with Alexander Wang from Meta maybe, just 3 or 4 months ago. And he really spoke about personal super intelligence being on Meta Ray-Bans. Now, at Meta Connect, I tried the Meta Ray-Ban displays. They were fantastic. I just want to know, if I'm like, a young developer and I want to get into the Meta Ray-Ban ecosystem, what can I build? What are you seeing in the future for the Meta Ray-Bans in India? Like, what really is the future for the Meta Ray-Bans?
See, I think, we've come a long way. If you just go back, let's say 30 years, there was no mobile phone. We all were largely on a desktop, I don't even know how many of you all will be aware of those scenarios. I remember laptops were being rationed out. At least when I joined the company, the first question people used to ask was, why do you need a laptop? You don't travel, so you get a desktop. So you were actually giving laptops only to sales guys, etc., who take a flight. and those were super expensive commodities. I think, yeah, the laptops those days sold for more than what Macs sell for today in today's rupees. I think post that we've had the mobile, we had the internet and the mobile. So I think we've seen a lot of obviously evolution of computational platforms. And I think from our vantage point, we definitely think wearables are really going to be the next computing platform, which each of us will own, carry, and live with and work with. So again, going to the same example I just quoted. Imagine like if I'm like, not that I'm saying because I wore this and walked here, but if I use the same example, I can just ask Meta AI to say again, which is the most healthiest snack. So it already knows my, thanks to this person's super intelligence in the back end which you're building, it knows who I am, what I look for, whether I'm, let's say, vegetarian, non-vegetarian, whatever else. It can actually recommend what I need, from my glasses. So it's also like, I don't need to pick a phone, hunt for, let's say, an AI model, start typing, chatting. So it's literally from your perspective. It can constantly see, hear what you do. And I guess it just keeps refining that intelligence like any AI model would do. So I think this is in some sense truly the future. We've had a great success across the world. I think we've sold millions of glasses. Ever since we launched. Meta Ray-Bans were brought into India last year with Gen 1, Gen 2s also, subsequently during festive season. We launched Oakley both on Houston and Vanguard. And the recent campaign with Virat Kohli, which we just went live with in IPL, has more than 1.2 billion views, which our CMO just posted about on LinkedIn today. So it's one of the most viewed campaigns, and I'm pretty sure that India is going to feature as a prime market, just like all devices do, for Meta Ray-Bans.
Interesting. I think the new mobile phone revolution is kind of around the corner. We've seen the early alpha of it. And I can't wait to see everybody start using the displays. I think it's going to be very cool.
Yeah, and sorry, since you asked me about the displays, I think I'm sure at the right time we will get there as well. Because for those of you who don't know, in the displays, I can actually have subtitles and captions. Even when I'm talking to somebody in Japanese or
I tried the
French,
maps.
I encourage each of you as you travel to certainly fix an appointment, because these are by appointment only, and try them out.
Yeah, I used the maps on it and it was so good. It was just so good. So I can't wait to for everyone to get their hands on it. I want to move to where I think personal super intelligence will really be for most people. I think most people, we give the biggest chunk of our lives, and let me ask the audience if this is true. We give the biggest chunk of our lives to WhatsApp. Yeah, they're on WhatsApp most of the time. Do you think there's going to be any potential for agentic plays on WhatsApp? Either for the kids to build it, or for Meta itself to come and make our quality of life better?
See, I think it's already there. So we've launched something called Business AI on WhatsApp, and this is live in a lot of small businesses as we speak in India. And kicking. And I'll give you a couple of examples also on results on what it does. So the business AI agent is almost, think of it as a sales agent or a support agent, which actually works in the back end to supplement a small business owner. So today, thousands of small businesses already in the first wave have been enrolled, and we're piloting this as we speak. So it's a 24/7 sales agent, right? So for example, if you are a small shopkeeper selling saris or sweets, you lock your shop and you get orders later, you have to wait for the next day to really come and process that. So I think what the business AI agent is doing is already sending the orders to, let's say, your warehouse or your supplier, getting them packed. So you actually come. So it's a 24/7 agent that you have. Similarly, I'm just saying, for example, on support and logistics. So if you have to work with couriers and other people as well, or even respond to saying, where is my order, when will I get it? Let's say for existing customers. So the businesses are able to configure these, and we see huge value. So a couple of examples, that we have is, for example, there's a company called Purple Sunset, which is a small boutique gifting company. They were struggling to manage 60 to 70 customer orders every day. And AI actually now on real-time responds to these queries and is able to customize, solve the issues. And they've seen about a 40% increase in sales. So imagine the power of agentic AI in version 1 already of this product. Similarly, Soil Concept, again a plant-based personal care brand, they were again using a lot of queries, especially because a lot of them, people are interested, like I'm sure many people here, would go and log in the night and ask for these things. And when you don't get the responses on time, maybe your interest will fade. So again, it's a 24/7 agent which is actually helping sales queries in this case. Right? So again, they saw a huge increase by double their business almost, by increase of 80 to 90%. So clearly we are seeing early traction. We think, given that SMBs are the heart of the Indian economy, we have more than 60 to 70 million SMEs in the country. 90% of our presence on our platform, 92% actually to be accurate, are small and medium businesses in this country. So we think there's a huge opportunity where, given the cultural diversity we come from, the vernacular diversity, the geographical diversity that we are all there, AI agents will play a huge role in scaling the business, which will obviously have a ripple effect on the economy.
Interesting. I think something I noticed today, and this is like this thing where almost everyone I spoke to kind of spoke to me about this. And I'm going to ask the audience a question. How many of you, in some way, are involved in creating an AI ad? In some way, either you're making a platform or you made an AI ad. Interesting, like maybe 10 hands went up. How many of you have seen an AI ad on your feed?
Wow.
Interesting. Interesting. Can you tell us where the future of AI ads is? Like, I think a lot of advertisers are not clear. Like, is Meta comfortable with AI ads? Like, nobody knows. Like, what's your stance on AI ads? How do I get started with it if it's okay to use on the Meta platform? Yeah.
See, I think again, this is a unlock which was waiting to happen with all the capabilities that have been there in the computer economy for the last 3-4 years. Today again, like if I just stay with the small business questions, I'll come to large businesses on how this is applicable. So we have 70 million small businesses, millions of small businesses advertise on our platform every month, but they don't have access to the tools that many large businesses have in Bombay, Bangalore, Delhi, etc., where you have the expertise of trained talent, you have the expertise of agencies, and you have expertise of, let's say, media management companies. So imagine, I think the biggest roadblock was, I would say, ad creation, or an asset. How do I make sure that I create an asset? How do I make sure I refresh it? So let's say if I'm a tea seller in Darjeeling, for example, I can get the best tea out from there, from the gardens. Literally, let's assume that my family owns a small piece of land there and I get the fresh produce. I'm unable to actually then find a way where I can obviously I have to really stretch my resources, use my contacts to do what, let's say, large companies, consumer companies based in Bombay, Delhi, wherever, can do the same. So what happens clearly now is with the power of GenAI, and we have this already on Meta Ads Manager, so I can actually create an asset literally in less than a minute.
So you're saying that Meta now natively allows you to create AI?
Absolutely. So I just say, hey, literally on the GenAI suite, I can literally talk to it and say, create a, static image of me sipping tea in my balcony. In the background, let's say in a monsoon season, for example, it will generate an image literally within seconds. With enhanced capabilities, we're also able to deliver videos, etc., and motion. And now with all the other examples that I spoke about earlier, whether it's on the glasses, for example, where creators do it, or equally on the GenAI ads, we also have language translation capabilities. So today, for example, it's available on the ad creation on one side, it's equally available on glasses, where you can translate, let's say, an asset that you made for video in this case, let's say, Hindi from Darjeeling into Tamil, Telugu, Marathi, Kannada. So what happens is that you are putting the power of really the business and running the business in the hands of the business without relying on so many external parties. So technology is no longer a barrier, ad creation is no longer a barrier, right? So that's the biggest advantage they have. Secondly, I think this can be done literally, the same business can actually run an asset every day. So I can change the tea in a balcony to actually tea plucking in the garden, you get one more creative. You get a third creative, for example, on really the final packaging and what the brand looks like. So you're able to refresh creatives at your will, you're able to deploy different creatives to understand who is clicking on what and then fine-tuning your campaign. So I think all of this is natively available, and so this is one thing on GenAI. Yeah.
Can you? I think there's nobody in India that would have worked so closely with advertisers. With advertising, advertisers, just understanding how small businesses advertise. Can you give me some tips? If I was a small business founder, let's say I was running that sari company or just a small shop or a tea shop, what is it that I should be doing to really boost sales?
See, I think today we are in a situation where if you look at the country, they're, I would say, proudly digitized is what I describe my compatriots across other countries, because we have almost 90% of the population on the internet. We have more than 1 in 2 digital payments in the world happens out of India, right, through UPI and obviously the stack that the government has built. We also know, thanks to the seamlessness of Aadhaar as well as Jandan, etc. So you are making sure that everyone gets their money in the right account. So I think digital, we are almost becoming a digital native nation in some sense, because like 90% of people today have smartphones. Amongst those who have access to the internet, we still have some room to go to get everyone into the internet. And you're putting the power of really all decision making, be it buying, purchases, etc., out there individually. We are seeing these behaviors, translate into user behavior across. So, for example, earlier, if you just go back 10 years, most rural households had just one television in the house, and everyone, it was appointment viewing of the common match or the common show that people would sit and watch. Today, we find that many rural households also have dual phones. It's no longer one phone, right? So, for example, earlier I'll tell you there was an era, I think many years ago, where most households had a Facebook account. It was not individuals. And today we are sitting in a situation where you have obviously both the man and the woman, and potentially even the adult kid in the house actually having individual Instagram accounts or individual even WhatsApp numbers. I think obviously thanks to a lot of the basic connectivity and infra that the country has. I think therefore, my recipe would be for the small businesses. Yes, you earlier put your business out there, but find ways to leverage all the AI tools. So one side is Gen AI. The second one I'll talk about is you don't need to worry about who your ad will get served to, whether you should be deciding whether what the gender of the person is, who buys, where they live, because a lot of that today, thanks to AI, has been automated. So I give examples. So when Facebook started, or when let's say Instagram also in the last 10 years, we actually changed ways in which advertising was run or targeted. I give an example. I spent my life in consumer companies prior to this. Earlier, you could, as a brand manager or as a category head, you largely bought print, outdoor, or maybe television, as that too. For those, again, the older lot would understand, it was largely only Doordarshan followed by satellite television, which was not even 24 hours. Right? So then you had to move from there to Tamil Sat and Telugu Sat and Bengali Sat, etc. And you had to literally wait and see what the results were after a month, typically, when you run regression analysis on sales versus spends. But this was available only to really the large advertising ecosystem. How many small businesses can afford to produce an ad, understand all this, then run it across the length and breadth of the country? For example, if I'm a baker in Gurgaon, I want to sell my premium sourdough bread, I really need a local audience. That's why Facebook came in for 10 years. So we could actually choose Gurgaon, we could choose the right households and the income. But what we were losing out on, or what I think not understanding, is there's always human bias. So in an example, take another category like premium skincare. Why should we make assumptions that the consumers will only be in Bombay, Bangalore or Delhi? They could be in Nagpur, they could be in Aizawl. So I think as long as you allow the engine to now decide, saying, hey, this is the product, let the target, let the time of day, let the budget, for example, you can have a cap, but allow all of this to run through the AI engine. It knows better, saying who's in what context, with all of the things I just spoke about in NewsPark, and allows you to run the right ad to the right person at the right time. What we're seeing is automated ads today, which is what we have something called the Advantage Plus suite. There was almost $4 for every dollar of spend, which is higher than all human served ads. So wherever we bring in our bias, it's not 3x versus 4x. So I'm just saying there's a 33% jump clearly where you remove human bias and you allow the engine to run, just define simple variables. So I think again, so therefore coming back, I think small businesses have all of these advantages. So creation is automated, deployment is automated, and now over and above that, we also have a couple of tools on the Meta AI support assistant and the Meta AI business assistant, which is there again on our platform. So I, as a small business, whether I'm running the skin business in Bombay or the bread business in Gurgaon, I can actually check what's happening on a daily basis, see my graphs, see what's happening, and then, as I said, tinker with creatives, drop down spend and spend. So I think you're putting the power of investing in my business back in my hands than me relying on a lot of third-party tools.
I have a curious question, right? What are your meetings with Meta Global like? And what is their plan for India? Like, how do those meetings run? Like, give us some behind the scenes.
See, I think India has the highest users across each of our apps. So be it Facebook, be it Instagram, be it WhatsApp, and even our new kids on the block, be it Threads or be it Meta AI now. So most Meta AI, for example, Indians use it the most. It is as banal as bus routes for today to in terms of what is there in my fridge and take a picture and figure out how you can, make a dish out of it with leftovers. So I think we are using it to the hilt. Or equally, like for example, I can tell you my personal story, right? I was in Gujarat on Monday, where we had to launch, the WhatsApp chatbot for citizen services there. And I used Meta AI immediately to translate my speech in Gujarati. Unfortunately, my device was seized by security. That's another story for another day. But the reality is that it can come of use, literally in your everyday lives on whatever role you do. So I think clearly India is a major priority for Meta, and not just I would say across our apps and users. We have the largest creator base in the world. Almost 1 in 2 pieces of content is put out from Indian creators, and as I mentioned, we have so much diversity in our languages that it's a blessing in terms of the volume of content, because we also have true cultural diversity right here. India is equally important to serve these users. I think we obviously have to make a lot of infrastructural investments. So in fact, I'm sure many of you in the audience know this. So we have this project called Project Waterworks, where we're bringing in undersea cables, which is almost 3 times the circumference of the Earth, and obviously it will certainly dock in India as well, so that the latency, the speed, etc. is obviously much superior. India is a prime focus, for example, with this whole creator reels translations. We rolled out only in Spanish and Portuguese outside 5 Indian languages, outside of English. So we have Bengali, Tamil, Telugu, Marathi, and Kannada in wave 1. So I think the world is clear that India is a top priority for each of our apps. And of course, as I say, in every meeting, India wakes up to good morning with WhatsApp and winds down, to say good night to Reels. So in some sense, I think whether it's on the WhatsApp side again with each of our features, many of them are India first. Business AI, for example, the agent, it's live as we speak, first in India.
I think with translations, all these creators can now become much bigger, right? Because they can reach new audiences that they
Absolutely.
would be able to.
Global audiences as well.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I did some content which I translated to Spanish. I started having people comment in Spanish, and I was like, wait, what is going on?
You have to find a way to translate that back as well. I'm sure AI can help you there.
I have 2 more questions for you, right? I think your experience, you worked, at a bunch of companies before this, and I think you've really been like this go-to consumer insights person in the country. As a founder and as a creator, I just really love when people can give me tidbits of consumer psychology. Hey, this consumers do this in this specific platform. Hey, consumers behave like this in these specific situations. Can you give me 1 or 2 insights on how consumers behave in India, which is, I would say, caught your eye or caught your interest? What have you learned about consumers in India?
See, it's a landscape that's continuously evolving, right? And one of the mistakes we make is, which I also made personally. I'm saying, let's say, if you run a brand, a beauty brand, and your target is 25, 5 years later, she's not your target. You have to stay young and you have to go to the 20 who's become 25. And time is not a leveler in this case. It actually leaves you behind because you age. So, like for example, if I stayed, with a 25-year-old and 5 years later, I will start looking 30 as a brand. So, how do you continuously? And I don't think those principles haven't changed, right? The principles have been timeless. So if you want to appeal and be a youth brand like...
So you're saying brands age as their consumers age?
Absolutely. So you have to do something to make sure you target the next person who your, let's say, bullseye teacher is. So that's one timeless principle. And I think this straddles every sector. I'm just saying, so for example, I'll give you an example. Let's say if I'm a gym owner, even if I'm in a small business, I want, let's say today's consumers who are in their 25 to 35 walking into my gym or 30 to walking into my gym, I have to figure out who do they aspire to be? I'm saying, and that changes, right, with every generation. I'll give you an example, take sports. Indian cricket was not as fitness conscious 25 years ago versus where they are today. So you have to, live with the times and change who you're trying to be and, what your bullseye moniker for the brand is. And that's true for whether you're a brand which is making food in the kitchen, whether it's a brand that, it's all about beauty or fitness, or even travel. So I'll give you an example. Let's say if, 20 years ago, I'm sure, you run some travel weeks on Thailand, it will be cool. But now everyone wants to see Bora Bora and Hawaii, right? You cannot stay, if you want to be at the cutting edge of, what you promise, whether you're a travel company or whether you're an airline in terms of exotic holidays, the definition of exotic will change. So I think how do you really stay true to the consumer, continuously evolve with time is principle 1. Second is I think you have to fish where the fish are. like I'll give you an example again. If you go back in time, they were largely watching, what I call K-drama of yesteryear, which is all the Hindi soaps. Now they're watching K-drama, which is a different K, from another country. So how do you actually translate, who you are and who you appeal to in terms of insights? Because you can't say that, that behavior has changed. So, like, I'll give another stat, right? So, for example, I'm in many meetings, in fact, both internally and externally, since you just asked about global. It's a surprise and a shock to everybody that rural India has actually taken faster to Instagram than even urban India has. So today, firstly, we just released a report with, Ipsos in Canada. 97% of Indians today watch reels on a daily basis, and it's
97% of
in the study, and it's way higher than television. It's way higher than the nearest competitor. More importantly, the gap between our users in rural and competition, or rural and television, is even wider. So they have actually caught up faster. They don't have to go through the curve. To say I need a TV first in my house, or I spend time with TV or equally with other platforms before I come to short form video. So consumers are evolving faster than possibly we imagine. So again, the question is, how will brands obviously be accurate and figure out where they are and what they do?
No, I actually never thought about this, that the consumer will age, and unfortunately you'll be locked into, as the consumers age, your branding will be locked into this consumer aging, so you're not picking up the next set of consumers.
I'll give another example. I don't know if you drink beer.
No, I don't.
But I'm sure you relate to. So think of, again, iconic beer brands 10 years ago versus who you consider iconic today. It will completely change. Yeah.
No, and also maybe because I'm getting older, I don't relate to some of this. I saw the new Ferrari, and I couldn't relate because I was just
maybe you've gone above that.
Yeah, no, I was just I couldn't relate because I was just wait, Ferrari was supposed to mean passion and this and that, and now that's changed. Maybe I'm the wrong PG now. Maybe they're going after the next segment.
Yeah, but I think also with AI, I think this is an opportunity again, for whether it's founders of today or startup businesses of today. I think AI can play a big role again in really helping you stay true to who your consumer is, what are they doing constantly, get those insights so that you can do all these things.
Awesome. We're going to go full reels for the last question. Full reels, short form for this. Can you give us 2 tips as a creator, 2 tips as a founder to make money? To make more money. Correct, guys? We need this.
So as a creator, I would say that, we have a tool called Instagram Creator Marketplace. How many of you are on Instagram Creator Marketplace in this room if you're a creator? I don't see too many hands.
There are 4 people there.
Sorry?
There are 4 people there.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe 1 person there.
Yeah, I would expected many more. But I would say, just sign up for that, because that actually helps businesses discover you. So think of this tool as almost like a library, or instead of titles on an OTT thing, but it's library of all creators in the country. So if I'm a business again, in Gurgaon wanting to understand who can influence our bread sales, I'll actually find the right moms or the right people who can review them, and then you can tie up to them to run your ads. Right?
So how many brands are there on the creator side?
Every of our advertisers can access it, every single one.
So how many brands are there totally?
No, brands meaning every single large advertiser. That's when things.
So they can just go to this platform and find creators
Policy Bazaar found them. I can tell you literally from a meeting yesterday. So it's not only in cool categories like glasses or skincare or fashion. It's also in what I would call categories like travel, categories like finance, categories like education. So think of it. So whatever creator you are, I think you will certainly be able to find businesses as long as they want a handshake. We have companies like Meesho, for example, who work with more than, I think, 10,000 such creators, that they've discovered on our platform, where they micro-segment, district level, let's say in UP and Bihar, and actually sign up a creator for a different category. So that would be my biggest tip, because if you're not on it, it's going to be really hard for you to make money, trust me, unless you're really amongst the top creators. So we have a lot of, I would say, what we call, micro-creators, creators in a particular region, etc., working on this. Sorry, what was the second question?
Second question is, give us a tip as founders to make more money.
Please advertise, because it's not important that you have a great product. You can actually do it at as low as $500. I also think you should use the platform to do more test and learn. So today, with all of these AI capabilities and tools, you can actually, as I said, create 5 ads on the same example I gave you. Figure out what is working and then put more money.
This is a very good question to the audience. How many of you are building something in AI? Hands up, How many people are building something? Anything. It could be a rapper, it could be a product, anything. Okay? How many of you have run more than 1,000 rupees of ads for your product? 1/3 of the hands went up.
Yeah.
The mistake I made when I was young was I just never ran enough advertising. I just never took distribution seriously. I was just like, if I build the next feature, people will come. But unfortunately, people never came, and you have to spend money on ads.
Yeah. So I think sometimes I think these are lessons you learn in B-school, right? The greatest sales don't happen with the greatest product, but with the greatest story told. So I think the question is, how are you out there really telling your story? I think that's again that doesn't have to start at millions of rupees or dollars on what I would call a minimum barrier for you to enter mass media. But I think as low as $500, you could start doing the trick. And by the way, sorry, last but not least, even businesses that are really, I would say timeless in some sense. For example, we ran one of our most, I don't know how many of you from Delhi here, but Bengali Sweet House went live on Instagram for the first time, started advertising, and saw sales from Gen Z, which was not an audience that was buying from them, their orders went up by almost 40%. So you clearly have examples of even, I'd say, very traditional businesses trying out new things. So my only advice is please go out there and try. All the tools are in your hands. It's really in your hands to make what you have.
I think there are very few people in this country who have the kind of consumer insights you do. It's just been a treat, just being on the other side of this conversation. I'm going to take like a few things away. And I think the audience is also, I'm sure, taken a few things away. I think the creator platform is something no one knew, and I think even I didn't know about it. So I think a lot of them might get opportunities now to actually make money off the fact that they're creating content. Thank you so much for doing this, Arun. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Varun. Equally a pleasure.